social media is a insufferable hellscape. There is not a single topic that you could find that isn't just drenched in negativity and hate and all this stuff. Sure enough, the same thing is happening with Supergirl, and it was happening weeks before the movie came out. I'm not talking about the what you would expect from a James Gunn DC movie, which is like the Zack Snyder fandom trying to like hate monger over a product because they didn't get their way. It seems like this is a industry-wide hate campaign against this movie that is very, very confusing to me. This is the first time that I have really come like this close to deleting all my social media accounts. Hey now.
Ahoy.
What's going on, Dusty?
Oh, a lot, apparently.
Yeah. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the show.
I feel like I've been gone forever. I just got back from vacation, but I missed the last one, and we had some scheduling issues. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we all kind of took like a little bit of a summer break. But this is episode number 176. Marvin's not here, unfortunately. He's on a little bit of a vacation as well. Yeah, he's taking a cruise to Alaska. No, I'm kidding. That's what Dusty said, but it's actually the Bahamas.
Yeah, it's a Caribbean cruise.
Yeah. So, bon voyage, Marvin.
Yeah.
You will be with us in spirit.
Don't eat the lettuce.
Don't eat the lettuce. Explosive diarrhea. Ravaging the nation.
Yeah.
I can't breathe, as you could probably hear, so bear with me with that.
My allergies are kind of messed up too.
Yeah. But we're back. We're talking about Supergirl today. That's right, folks. Yeah. The worst movie ever made, according to people on the internet. So we're going to get into that. But I'm going to be honest, this movie really, like, I've been circling the drain a little bit for a while now, as you know, with social media. I've been complaining about it.
Oh, yeah.
Just how, like, overbearing it is.
But, me too. I tell you, I hate it.
But you don't really even use it, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know. That's why. Well, we have a channel, and we know that as a channel we should engage. And I'm like, man, I hate getting on social media. And you're like, yeah, it's good for the channel, though. And I'm like, yeah. And I try, and I do it sometimes, but every time I do, I hate it. I just can't.
I use it, like, I don't really use Instagram, and I don't really use I don't use Facebook at all, and I barely use Instagram. I really only log into Twitter to check, like, because Twitter is good for, like, movie news and sports and stuff like that.
X and YouTube, that's where I stick. But, I'm pretty much off everything else.
But now, like, it has just gotten so insufferable. No matter what you're looking up or what you're looking into, it is just negativity all the time. And because of Supergirl, this is like literally, I was this close to deleting Twitter. And this was the first time that I've really actually almost deleted it. Like, I hovered the button. So we'll get into that and Supergirl later in the show.
I've caught up on some shows finally since I got back. I wanted to start, what's that, Widow's Bay?
Widow's Bay,
yeah. Summer's almost over, and I need to grind it out, but I watched some other stuff first. I'm going to start it this week, I think.
Nice. It actually just got some of the Emmy nominations came out. It got nominated for 19 Emmy Awards, actually.
Nice.
Best Comedy Series, Best Lead Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress. There's 2 of those. Best Guest Actor, Best Guest Actress, Best Comedy Writing, Best Comedy Casting, Best Comedy Directing, Best Comedy Editing, which is 3 people, Best Music Composition, Best Music Supervision, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Production Design, Best Comedy Cinematography. So that show is putting up numbies. I'm glad that it's so popular.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if they got any, but I think I read somewhere that Stranger Things season 5 got 0 nominations for acting at all. So they may have gotten nominations for other things, but I haven't looked at any of the Emmy nominations so far. So I'm not sure.
Another show you're still having to catch up on also got nominated for quite a few, which is Pluribus.
Oh yeah.
Another Apple TV banger. Apple
Mm-hmm.
TV is cleaning house. They are the new HBO, man. Nothing they do is bad. Everything they do is great. This one's up for drama series, lead actress in a drama series, supporting actress in a drama series, supporting actor in a drama series, guest actress, guest actor, writing, directing, casting, cinematography, picture editing, picture editing. Oh, there's 3 picture editings for different episodes. Production design for a narrative, contemporary program, 1 hour or more, music composition for a series, original main title, theme, music supervision, sound mixing for comedy or drama. So we got that as well. And
Have you watched the John Hamm show? What is it? Your Friends and Neighbors, where
no,
he's no, it's
no.
pretty good.
And another show that we're big fans of, the Shrinking, also got nominated for
Drinking.
quite a few
Of
Emmys.
course,
And
as it should.
another Apple TV show. So Apple TV is cleaning up. Have you watched anything other than
yes,
like Supergirl? Anything
good? We haven't talked a whole lot. I finished Dutton Ranch, and you said Sheridan's finished.
I just think he's finished as a person, as like a human being. Like he's just he's become a meme now. Like and I don't know him personally, and I don't care really. He could do whatever the fuck he wants. I have always liked him as a writer because of his film.
I agree. Yeah, sure.
And
so what I'll say to that is I think that he got a bad taste in his mouth from Yellowstone because of the actor. Because I mean, we know his story. He did the Sons of Anarchy thing, and he didn't get the pay that he wanted, so he quit and he did his own thing and he wrote. And he became a legend, and now he writes his own checks. I went into Dutton Ranch thinking, this is going to be slop. I liked it. It's good.
Did you watch the one with Casey yet? Because that one's supposed to be real bad.
Yeah, no, that one's not that good. I did watch that. It's not as good. Dutton Ranch is way better. It feels like Sicario meets like Yellowstone. Like Rip is the favorite, I think, of all the Yellowstone actors.
He is.
And Beth is a Dutton, so you get that. But the family dynamic's good. The story and the way they weave it together, it's just, I thought it was great.
I mean, the thing is like, again, Yellowstone was good, and maybe you're a little more receptive to this type of stuff than I am, but I just feel like Yellowstone turned into just like right-wing slop towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that sentiment, and even like Landman. Like I like Landman. I think it's entertaining, but it's not memorable. Like Dutton Ranch, like that one's like I felt the Taylor Sheridan touch of like okay, I let him. He's cooking right now, and I liked it. There was a couple episodes. It was like, yeah, he's cooking.
People love Landman.
It's good, but it's not memorable. It's fun. It's a fun watch, person,
but right?
Sure.
So I think he's carved out this like niche for himself, either on purpose or not. But it just feels like he's pandering to it a little bit, and he's got 300 shows that he's been making. And none of them are like really that great, except for.
Well, you haven't watched Lioness yet either. I thought that was a decent show.
No, I haven't watched that. I haven't watched the one with Michelle Pfeiffer. I haven't watched the Boss Reeves one. Like, there's just too
Michelle Pfeiffer, Reeves. Kurt Russell ones. Yeah.
There's just like too many, and it's like now. But he's also now entered like the zeitgeist, like outside of the shows that he's doing. He's on Joe Rogan talking about like. He's just like bitching and bemoaning Hollywood and like elites and liberals.
He's got a chip on his shoulder
and like all this shit. And it's like, dude, just stick to movies, man.
But now he's a megastar, and he needs to like remember, like, hey, I mean, there's plenty of stories of people who got kicked in the shins, and then they got a chip on the shoulder, and they made it, and then they became assholes. And this could be a perfect example. And I'm not saying you're wrong.
I want to make an amendment real quick. I don't mean stick to movies and don't speak your mind. I think that's stupid when people say like actors should not have an opinion.
Yeah,
they're actors. They're
shut up and dribble.
Actors are human beings. They are allowed to have opinions on politics and stuff that affects them. It doesn't matter how rich they are or how elite they are. So I didn't mean that, but I don't know. Just some of the remarks I heard on his episode with Joe Rogan was just a little bit like.
I don't even think I watched that episode.
No, I don't even watch Joe Rogan anymore. I just see the clips on on Twitter and stuff. And then also,
every now and again he'll have a comedian on or something. I'll watch that, like if Shane's on or.
the other thing too that like really stuck out to me is that he works for Paramount, right, which is now owned by David Ellison, and Paramount also owns.
He's got a blank check from Paramount, basically. Yes,
but Paramount also owns the UFC. Paramount hasn't. Paramount is obviously deeply embedded with the government through the Ellisons, huge donors.
Yes.
The UFC is now deeply embedded with the government. And then last night I was like I watched clips of the Conor McGregor fight that happened last night. The fight, it was like 2 seconds. He blew his knee out.
Yep.
But like Taylor Sheridan was just like there, like hanging out and like hugging the fighters and stuff. And it's just like, all right, now he's in this world. Because for a long time, he carried that persona of like, I don't care about politics. I don't care about any side. And like that veneer is starting to drip off of him.
Actors and celebrities have been loving and watching the UFC for a long time. The fact that it has been mixed in with the White House because Dana White and 250 and Donald Trump and all that, I think there's more coincidence there than anything. Those guys are certain political and have ideals, but I don't know that I'd lean too much into like deep state conspiracy. UFC is embedded in the White House.
It's not a conspiracy. I just see the shows that he is doing, and it's like,
yeah, sure.
You're catering
he's got
to
a certain
audience.
I mean, you get that for anybody. Who's the guy that? Oh my gosh, the guy that did Newsroom and all the other great political shows. He was probably responsible. He was West Wing, didn't he? He was in on that one too.
I think you're talking about Aaron Sorkin.
Yes, Aaron Sorkin is a wonderful writer, but he certainly has a slant to his writing, and you can tell it when you watch the show. That doesn't make the show not good. It's still the messaging. Sometimes you don't agree with it, but that doesn't make it not true all the time. Yeah. Sometimes it's bullshit. But again, I mean, I don't necessarily take if you can tell a story and put your own spin on it in a way that's entertaining to most people, even if some of those people don't agree with that, I think you're doing okay. And I'm not here to shit on any of these guys because I like Sheridan and I think he's a good writer. You do too. But I do agree with you. Like, I think maybe he takes advantage of his audience sometimes with some of the things that he writes. I do agree with that.
I mean, I haven't seen a clip. Like, I think so. The reason I'm bringing this up, I don't care politically. You know that. Like, I have my own political takes, but I don't give a fuck what other people think. Really. Sure. If you want to argue with me about it, that's fine. We can.
We argue all the time. It's fun.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, his shows are suffering for it now, it feels like.
I think you say that, but I think you should give, because you haven't watched any in a while, so I feel that's an unfair statement. So
maybe
just watch Dutton Ranch. You don't have to watch any of the other shows. Just watch Dutton Ranch. It's 9 episodes.
No, I'll watch them
eventually.
If you
feel the same way. Yeah, well, you don't. I mean, there's a lot of them. Like,
I'm really basing it on the last couple seasons of Yellowstone, which just turned into like a deep states coming.
That was
a
mess. Everybody knows that was a mess.
And then also
Kevin Costner deal,
right?
Movies, like, it was bullshit.
And then also the amount of shows that he has. It's like, how do you?
Yeah, he's in the Feige era.
You're not writing all of that. He's hiring writers, and it's like, whatever.
Correct.
So that's all I'm saying about him. First, before we get into the news, I just want to mention, for those of you that are interested, especially now, because I've seen a lot of people complaining. I don't know if you saw this, Dusty, but popular movie review site that I hate, I find very pretentious. But Letterboxd is apparently going to be bought by either Netflix, Paramount, or Sony.
We were fans of this website early on.
Yeah.
We liked it, and we started cultivating lists and procuring things, and the more we used it, we found like, oh, well, these people are fun.
Yeah. So now that Letterboxd is selling to the oligarchs,
well, this is what you do, right?
It seems like there is a vacuum for something similar. But there's a website that I've been using for a really long time, and I've told you about it. Marvin uses it. It's called Trakt, TRAKT.TV. and it's a little bit different than Letterboxd. Letterboxd is specifically for like rating stuff and leaving like a short little like Twitter style review that is pretentious as fuck. Tracked is more of a way to track the things that you're watching, and now more than ever, it's hard to do when you have 50 different streaming services that you're watching stuff on. So I use this site to I have a watch list, and when you want to watch something, I just put the show you mentioned. I will find you on there. I clicked add to watch list, and boom, you're done. And then you can see like it has a bunch of stuff. It's kind of like social media-y, where you could see people who are currently watching it, like how many people on the platform are watching it. You can see the episodes. You can see when they air. And then even more.
So this will let you find trending shows if you're not sure what to watch. You can see want to find out what's hot.
Yep, it has trending. Cool. It has an up next feature, which basically since it actively tracks what you're watching. So you could see the last episode of Superman I watched, My Adventures with Superman, was season 3, episode 4. And so that's finished. Now, when a new episode comes out, it'll show me it here. And it shows me all the current episodes I have to watch of things that are being actively watched on my account here. You see your schedule of stuff to release, your watch list. It's got some like things you've watched in the last 30 days. It like breaks it down for you.
It gives you your watch time, watch hours. It's pretty good.
It breaks down everything, and then you have like a recommendation algorithm for movies and shows that's actually really accurate based on stuff you watch. So it's a really cool website, and I don't hear enough people talking about it. It's free. They do have a VIP plan. It's like $5 or something like that a month, and it just lets you add more items to your watch list and do like a few other fancy things. But you could the website is completely functional.
You probably get
with the free account
quite a few titles with the free account on your watch list, right? I mean,
yeah, I think it limits at 100 or something like that, which is more than enough, I think, for most people.
Yeah.
I of course am a VIP. So I recommend all our viewers check it out. I think we're going to make our own tract for the podcast, so that way it'd be a nice way for people to watch along with us, and then we could also make like lists and stuff and be like, oh, Dan's favorite horror movies, and people could like check those out, because one of the other features is you could make a list and make it public. So you could make like Dusty's favorite Marvel movies, and then it's public.
We need to make our Make Marvin watch list public on Tract, and then we can put out polls every now and again and see if people want to vote on which one he gets to watch this month or that month.
Right. So, great website, tract.tv, TRAKT.tv. Highly recommend that everybody checks it out. But let's move on to the news. Folks, Dusty was a newsman. He used to do video game journalism back in the day, and now he muckrakes movie news and entertainment news for us and for you. I just wanted to mention a couple that most of it is actually involving Obsession, which is our movie we're going to cover next week. Finally, we're going to get to watch that. I've been looking forward to it. But Obsession is like just dominating the world right now. It dethroned The Exorcist as the sixth highest grossing horror movie ever at the domestic box office. Now that is significant because The Exorcist, when it came out, completely changed horror movies forever, because it was the first time that horror movies were taken seriously as like cinema, right? That movie like dominated the box office. It was nominated for Best Picture when it came out. And so for a little low budget horror movie to come along in 2026 to finally dethrone it is big. And so every day I keep seeing reports of like Obsession is this, Obsession is that. It also officially, as of July 7th, became the highest grossing sub $1 million budget movie in history, with $404 million, which surpassed Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee's movie, which held the record for 53 years with $400 million earned after its release in 1973. Obsession is putting up big numbers, and I think it raises a bigger point to the state of the film industry that we've been talking about for a really long time, and that is what do audiences want? And this is a little bit of a two-parter because we're going to be talking about Supergirl here in a few minutes. And Supergirl is a bomb. It is done terribly. It has failed in just about every possible way a movie can fail in terms of performance. And it is doing terribly. This, I think, ties in well with Obsession. So why is Supergirl doing bad and why is Obsession doing great? And I think the answer is very clear. There's another story that came out. A studio head, I don't know who it was, they kept it vague, said that Gen Z does not care about superhero movies. The genre belongs to millennials. Now, that's interesting. I never really considered that. Millennials were inundated with comic book movies. Even going back to the pre-MCU comic book movies like Blade and, you know, the X-Men and those movies, Spider-Man, the Raimi Spider-Man movies, we grew up with nothing but, like, we grew up with the transition from like what blockbusters used to be to what they are now, which is comic book movies.
Comic book movie areas. We're going to talk about that a little bit, too.
You very rarely get a comic book movie. You very rarely get a blockbuster nowadays that's not a comic book movie. So there's this whole new generation of moviegoers coming up that don't really give a shit about comic book movies. They probably have a detachment to the genre as a whole, comic books themselves. They probably don't have any real attachment to them because they grew up in the age of the internet and social media instead of like physical books and pages. So they're probably even more detached from comic books than we are as a generation. But with AI slop and just comic book movie inundation and all this stuff, I think audiences are screaming for original content, whatever it is. I don't even know if Obsession is good. I've heard it's good, but we haven't watched it yet. I don't even know if it's good, but it doesn't matter because it's doing numbers and is doing numbers for a reason. And I think the reason speaks more to the fact that it's original rather than the fact that it's like this amazing movie. It's probably not that amazing. It's probably like pretty just okay. Every week I think we record this podcast and we talk about, oh, there's a remake. Here's this remake. Here's this reboot. Here's this. And again, I think it, and none of them really do well, which is the crazy part. You and I talk about this all the time. Like, it's crazy that movie studios create things that don't make money and then they continue to do it. When this movie right here and Backrooms and whatever is saying, just do this, make original shit.
Well, some of them do make money though, and some of us do clamor for remakes because we have nostalgia. I mean, we were talking about our our Evil Dead review.
Yeah.
You specifically in that review asked for a Napoleon Dynamite sequel. Do you still want that, or do you think that's
no? Of course, I'm not saying that we should never ever have a sequel again. That's such a ridiculous like thing to say.
Right? Yeah,
I'm simply saying that the industry is completely overtaken with just easy nostalgia bait or reboots and slop. When there's this movie right now that is just blowing the doors off of the box office, and it's to me would be a clear signal. For instance, here's an example, right? With
this is the problem with our corporate oligarchy, Dan, is because it's advertising that sells. It's the name brand that sells. It's like somebody was talking about making a Golden Girls remake, but it's not going to be Golden Girls. It's going to be my own thing. Then don't even say it's a Golden Girls remake. Don't even put the Golden Girls name on it. Name it something else and do your own thing. Like you don't need the IP name to say, oh, I'm making it my own. Like make your own thing.
Right. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And so,
but sometimes an IP needs to be addressed.
It seems pretty easy to me, man. I don't know. I just don't like. I don't get it. Like, you know,
I don't either, Dan.
I get, like, obviously there are some studios that do a certain type of content, like Marvel does in comic book movies. DC Studios is doing that. But like, a company like, I don't know, well, actually, no. Warner Brothers is a good example because they do all sorts of movies, right? But like, why would you greenlight a Free Willy reboot? Like, do you think that that's going to do well? That movie is going to bomb. Okay? Like 14 millennials, 14 like 40-year-olds are going to go see that movie and be like, man, I loved this movie when I was 6. No, I'm not going to go See, that's so it's like
I'm not going to the theater.
That's what I'm saying. So like, what are we doing? Why are they doing that? I'm not saying they have to just pump out horror movies. That's not what I mean at all. But like, it's about originality. That's what people want to see.
When studios make movies to make money because they're like, why did they cancel Batgirl or whatever? Why was that a tax write-off? Why did J.K. Simmons is allegedly pissed? You would think
that the goal of every executive would be to make money, but it more and more nowadays it seems like they are doing they're doing things, they're making decisions in the opposite direction of that, like in direct contrast to making money. And so again, here is a movie.
Just like our politics, there are a bunch of old people who have been in charge for 30 or 40 years, and they've lost touch with what's really going on with the kids and the real society, and they're doing things that they think everybody wants because they're old and they've lost touch. They're old and they don't know, Dan. I don't know.
Do you think it's that simple? Maybe it is that. Maybe it's just because they're boomers. Maybe it's just boomer brain.
I think we're stale and stagnant because of the boomers.
Like we're
going to control for the last 3 or 4 decades.
And they're
when
just
they all die, we're going to see a drastic change in society.
Probably. We're going to be like it's going to be like the Jetsons once all the boomers die.
It's going to be crazy.
Like a rapid.
If we survive it, if they don't take us to World War IV next.
Like you're sitting, just think of like an 80-year-old executive just sitting there being like, man, Obsession is like one of the most profitable movies ever.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what we need to do? Let's make Free Willy. That'll get them. Like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing? Anyway, what do you got for us this week, Dusty?
Okay, well, let's see. We got
oh man, did you have
DC Studios?
Yeah.
Abandoning one of their shows. V for Vendetta was going to be an HBO Max show. James Gunn shut it down.
Where is this?
Apparently,
is this one?
No.
Did I miss
it not in the links?
I might have missed it. Hang on, let me see.
Oh,
I don't see it.
It would have been the first link. That is from the direct. Oh,
this one? Oh yeah, Studio. I got it. It was on the bottom.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I did it out of order, I guess, or it opened wrong. But anywho, they were going to do V for Vendetta, but
I remember we talked about
this. It's a period piece, and apparently the studios want something modern. They were hoping for something modern, so it got axed, even though it had a script that had been approved. So that's not going forward. Some people were saying, this is from insider Dan Schneider, I believe, who said all this stuff, but this is on the heels of Supergirl not doing well. So some people are also putting that on it a little bit.
Do you think that they're like cleaning house of all their stuff that they think is like kind of hit or miss?
It's possible. We don't really know there's rumors about what went on. Like, I guess we could go ahead and talk about it because there's different cuts of Supergirl. And apparently the original cut wasn't reviewed well, so Gunn brought his buddy in from Guardians, I think, to cut it.
Yeah.
And it barely did a couple points better. So I don't think we're going to, people asking for the Gillespie cut or whatever, but...
The Gillespie cut?
This is the problem with James Gunn's have to have a finished script, because even if you have a finished script that you think is good...
The Supergirl stuff, but specifically, do you just think that this is? Do you think that some of this cancellation is just him being like, I don't know if this is going to do well now, or you think they're just shifting?
Apparently, this says they're prioritizing a Deathstroke and a Bane team up movie, which seems
like, who the fuck wants
strange.
That?
But they're making a Clayface movie, so James Gunn, who knew that Creature Commandos was going to be his first project and everybody was going to love it, but here we are. So. No more news, but there's something I do want to talk about before we get into the movie.
Unburden yourself. What is it?
So I was watching the Escape podcast, and I was actually watching the podcast. These two guys, Andrew and Alex, they're nerds, and they talk about comic books and comic book pop culture, superheroes, blah, blah. I don't even watch their podcast. I watch What Nerd Talk, which is
called? The Escape?
The Escape podcast, yes. But I wasn't even watching their channel. I was watching the YouTube channel What Nerd Talk, who is a fan that edits their full-length podcast down to condensed versions. So if you don't want to watch the whole podcast, you can do that. You don't have to do that here at Harsh Language Podcast because our editor is a madman, and he does that for us. So shout out to you, Dan.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for doing that shit. We don't like, but these guys, they talk nerd stuff. They talk a lot of comic book stuff. I watch the short stuff because I find it condensed. But they were talking. I forget who it was now because I didn't write it down in these notes. But they were talking with a guy, and he was talking about how comic book eras happened. Like, you know, you had the Golden Age, Silver Age, Copper Age, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He says we're in a transition right now of comic book movies, and we're going from the Silver Age to the Golden Age.
So they're likening the different ages of comic books to, well, they're likening the generations of comic book movies to the ages of comic books.
Yeah, they tried. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I got it. I'm on board.
They tried. And I thought it was a brilliant point. And I sat and thought, I paused the video actually, and I was like, wow, that's actually brilliant. Great salient point. Let's go. And then I unpause it and they talk about it for 2 seconds. They're like, yeah, we're going from the Silver Age to the Golden Age. And I'm like, that's not even how the age of comics worked, nerds. What are you talking about? Like, can we like give this a proper like look over? So I sat down and I thought about it myself. And I wanted to break down to you what I think the comic book movie eras are and how they relate to the comic book eras.
All right, hit me.
So for the comic book eras, we have the golden age of comics, which is like the late 30s into the almost the late 50s. It was like 20-30 eras. It was the origin or introduction of comic book characters like Superman.
Not to correct your work, but technically the first age is the Platinum Age. In the 1800s, 1897 to 1938. And that was like, that was like comic strips and shit like that. But yeah, the Golden Age, that was when, and that all started with the GOAT, you know who.
Right,
Superman.
which I can also make a correlation to that. So that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So we had the Golden Age, which was basically the origins and the introduction era. And that went into the mid 50s. And then we had the Silver Age, which was like another 10, 15 years. This is a revival and reimagination era. It was a renaissance with sci-fi twists, new and flawed heroes, Marvel's rise with Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, etc. You had brighter art, more optimism, and mainstream success. And then you went on to the Bronze Age, which was like the 70s to the mid 80s. And this was a darker tone, social relevance era, shift to more realistic issue driven stories, drugs, racism, politics, anti-heroes grow here, like the Batmans and things like that. Continuity and storylines deepen. And you get a reaction to this is a reaction to earlier simplicity, like comics are for kids. Like there was like, well, we can make these stories good. Okay, and then you have the Copper Age, which is like 85, 86 to the mid 90s. And this was transitional readjustment, post-crisis on Infinite Earth, redefinition, grittier, psychologically more complex stories like The Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen. You had more mature readers because your readers are grown up. You had direct market growth. And this was a bridge from the Bronze formulas towards 90s excess, where we get into like the modern age of the mid 90s and 2000s, where you could throw in an era in there like the Chrome era where there was the speculator, and you could kind of argue that, but I'm not going to do that one. I'm just going to use Copper and modern age. But those are kind of the comic book eras I want to talk about. So if we relate to that, and because you brought up the Platinum Age, before I go into the Golden Age of comic book movies, I will talk about the serial era of comic book film, or the pulp era. And this is where comic books did not happen in the cinema. They only happened on TV. And for the longest time, comic books were only on TV. And then Warner Brothers and the like started serializing television, and they took over because a lot of times they were just syndicated shorts from people who licensed them. So you had the serial pulp era where comic book film was only on television. And it wasn't until, God bless the man, George Lucas made a little movie called Star Wars, because
A little
That
movie.
let
Yep.
everybody know that superhero sci-fi movies actually work.
Yeah.
And so this gave us the golden age of comic book movies. So you're
Sure.
like 1978 to I'm going to
Superman.
call it the mid to late 1990s.
Yeah.
So you have the introduction of major comic book characters on the big screen blockbusters, Superman, Batman. You had The Mask, you had TMNT, you had Darkman, you had Flash Gordon. They were testing everything, right?
Yeah.
Hopeful spectacles that established the genre. And then somewhere in the late 90s, you had a darker, grittier reaction. They had this Bronze Age where like Blade, Nolan's Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, X-Men, the
Spawn.
Spider-Man, Spawn, yes, grounded in mature storytelling, and studios felt more comfortable with multi-movie pitches.
Let's
So
see. What do
they
we
knew,
have?
like,
We had.
there was some,
Oh, Ninja
there
Turtles
was some
was the
good.
90s. Let's not forget about that one.
Yeah, well, that was mid. I call that the golden age. That was mid
90.
90s. I'm,
No,
I'm
90.
saying the yes. So I'm saying the Bronze Age starts late 90s.
Oh,
The
late
golden
90s, you're
age
saying.
is
Yeah.
The Bronze Age starts in the late 90s. That's when you get like
Yes,
Blade.
Spawn.
Blade 1998 is probably Spawn and Blade were probably
Mhm.
where you start leaning into that darker, grittier
Yeah,
Bronze Age of comics. And it goes on till about 2007.
Yep.
And you get a lot of movies, but then the Silver Age, where we're going to move into is 2008 to 2019. That's kind of a revival
The MCU.
and a peak shared universe building. Iron Man 2008 launches, phases 1 through 3. Endgame, the DCEU starts. You have movies like Logan, which are retelling some of the old stuff from the past age that people are like, oh yeah, I remember him from the X-Men movies. We got Logan now.
Yep.
So you have these interconnected innovation and cultural dominance in this era. And this lasted for about a decade as well. So it feels like these eras are decadal. And so then we're going to switch into the copper age of like around 2019, 2020. You have this transitional readjustment period. We have COVID, we have the strikes, we have the fatigue. And so the multiverse experimentation, the reboots, you have post-peak saturation. It's just not very good film, I feel like we've had in the comic book era for the last 5 years. And so that's why I would say like
post Endgame
what we're in right now is the copper age of comics. And what I would ask is, are we still in the copper age where we're in this transitional readjustment? Or are we now in what you would call the modern age, because it hasn't been defined yet, but it's like, because we're going to get this, the Marvel is, they're winding down everything. They're going to have to reboot. We know it's coming. James Gunn just started out rebooting with Superman and Creature Commandos. So are we in a new age, or are we still in this stale copper age and we're just not quite out of it? Where do you think we're at, Dan? And is that an accurate like layout? Does that feel like a good representation of comic book film eras?
Yeah, I think that's a really accurate thing. I wonder, I mean, it's obviously just the natural state of serialized storytelling that is just everlasting, that you have to go through these phases and resets and things like that and explore new things. So it makes sense to me that the comic book film industry is sort of paralleling the comic book industry.
It's actually wild to me how close it parallels. Like very close. Times, like it's 5 or 10 years. Sometimes it's 10 or 15 in the comic book era.
And they even,
but the way, and it's decadal, and the way that it flows, like I was like, holy shit! Like, if you could have predicted this market, what the?
I would have hoped that Superman would have brought us into the. I mean, we don't have enough.
Too soon to sell.
It's too soon to say, but I had hoped that Superman and James Gunn's DCU would bring us out of the staleness, because one thing that I do want to push, the only thing that's different, I think, in this comparison is that in comic books, each age, the golden age, the silver age, all that stuff, they felt very different.
Yeah.
But there has been one.
I mean,
they were always very.
So the only thing else.
Go ahead.
The only thing I'll say about that is these films also. Then I broke this down decadal because in the original era you had green screens and stunts, and then you had the exploration of CGI, and now we just have full blown green screen CGI where we're not even really doing stunts. So that technology kind of splits it up a little bit in movies, but you still have.
Well, I was going to make a different point and say that in the comic books, the ages were all felt very different in terms of like thematically.
Oh yeah,
and
storytelling-wise,
like you said, like in the 90s, they focused on more grittier stories, more adult stories, where like heroes. That's when heroes started to have like human traits, and Spider-Man's dealing with like the death of Gwen Stacy and like all this stuff, and so. The only thing that's different in the movies is, and it's been a singular through line throughout all the decades of comic book movies, with the exception of Richard Donner's Superman, is that every single and maybe Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies I would give credit to, but all other superhero movies since the dawn of time have treated them realistically. That's always been the case, no matter, even through the MCU. It's always like, what if Batman was real? That obviously ramped up with Christopher Nolan's interpretation of Batman with the Dark Knight trilogy, but it was always in every movie, even the Ninja Turtles movie, for as ridiculous as that premise is.
Even Darkman has it, and that's a wild movie.
Even as ridiculous as Ninja Turtles is, it's like, oh, here's the Turtles set in a gritty, realistic setting. So yeah, so that's always been like a singular vision for comic book movies. I guess for some reason people are just like, if it's gonna be on movies, we gotta like make it more realistic. And it just feels like even Kevin Feige, for somebody who's like, I love comic books and I love making comic book movies, there's this like hesitance, there's this trepidation with making a comic book movie comic booky. Like I said, Sam Raimi's probably the last person to do it. He had the balls to make but even that movie's still like realistic, like because he gives Spider-Man like the organic webbing and like all this stuff. He makes it more realistic than the comic books. Up until like Guardians of the Galaxy, and I would argue Guardians is even a little bit realistic. It's like, yeah, we got a talking raccoon and a tree creature, but it's still sort of a realistic look at it. Superman, for my money, is the first comic book movie that we've ever had that is even the Donner Superman is also like realistic in a way. But James Gunn's Superman is the first comic book movie that I think we've ever gotten. There's probably a couple of exceptions that I'm forgetting. That is just unapologetically a comic book movie. Would you agree or disagree? So much so that like, the movie
Blade felt like a comic book movie to me.
I don't think so. I mean, yes, it's a comic book character, but you have to separate your brain from the fact that it's a comic book character and just think of the world that movie pitched. It's dark, it's gritty, it's realistic. It's like, oh, this is what if vampires were real, this is what it would be like.
Michael Keaton's Batman, that was
I think that's also realistic. You get Tim Burton's like vision of a real world.
Yeah.
So it's gothic and has like gothic architecture and all that stuff. It's not as realistic as Christopher Nolan's, of course.
That felt more comic booky to me than most.
But compare it to Superman.
Sure. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Compared to
because
Superman,
in Superman,
I get it.
I
think Tim Burton is probably second on that list. That's probably the best I can think of.
Maybe.
Well, I guess my argument.
Maybe. I don't know. I think maybe that movie's tricking you because it has a lot of Tim Burton's DNA in it. And that's more of a Tim Burton movie than a comic book movie, in my opinion.
It feels more like another world than the real world that I'm living in. And that's where I guess I would say is like where, because the comic booky is supposed to make me.
Yes, it does feel like a different world.
Maybe that's where I'm.
That's a great way to describe it. But I would argue that that's Tim Burton's
sure.
aesthetic.
Yeah, that's his stylization. Correct. Yes.
All his movies feel like a different world that you're living in.
Sure.
But with Superman, right? It's like James Gunn made a point to be like, this is not our world. This is comic book world. You have you have a giant kaiju in Metropolis, and that dude is just like eating his lunch, like watching it
cook
out the window. And you get this sense, this is just every day for these people living in Metropolis. Oh, there's a giant orb imp creature floating around that the heroes are fighting. Just another Thursday night in Metropolis. Like, and that's one of the things I really loved about Superman is that it's so unapologetically a comic book movie. And so that's my only thing that I would argue with you about, is that in the comic book industry, in actual comics, throughout the different ages, Golden Age, Silver Age, whatever, they all felt very different. And I think until now, comic book movies have all felt very similar until Superman. And I still have hopes that James Gunn's DC will be the starting of a new age, one that is poppy and colorful and unapologetically comic booky. I think Supergirl was a little step back from that, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen enough output from it yet to really say.
I don't disagree with you, because I think, like, even thinking like all the random movies, like Howard the Duck feels very comic booky and out of this world, but it's also supposed to make you feel like, what if the comic book came to life? And I feel like that's like a lot of what these early movies were trying to do. What if the comic book page came to life?
And they still are.
So
I think
you're arguing that James Gunn is not doing that. You're arguing James Gunn is saying, no. We're not saying what if the comic book came to life. We're jumping into the comic book world. You're going into the comic book world with us. And so I think, thinking about it that way, I do agree that we haven't really had a comic book movie that makes you feel like you're
because
maybe I could think of some animated ones, but live action
ones for
probably
sure,
not.
Because they did that already. Like up until they were already doing the like realistic gritty take. What if comic
they've been
books
doing
were
that
real?
forever. Darkman is a realistic gritty take.
But then Christopher Nolan took it to a whole nother level. And was like, oh, here's Bruce. Here's how a rich guy would become a vigilante. Like if it was, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so and then of course Zack Snyder tried to do it with Superman, and that of course doesn't work. It's like, what if an alien was
what if Superman killed 500,000 people?
Yeah. What if Superman had a giant battle in Metropolis and destroyed the entire city and didn't save anybody, and obviously nobody got taken to safety. Like,
I think he killed his enemy.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm ready for a new age of comics that is not realistic. I don't want to be realistic. I live in the real world. I want to go to that's what they are. They're escapism. I want to go. There is room for it for sure in certain cases, but I don't think I'm ready for just comic book movies to be comic book movies. You know what I mean? Anyway. There's the news, folks. Thank you, Dusty, for your news, and that was a cool comparison between comic book ages and comic book movie ages. That was interesting. But let's move on to this week's review, and that is Supergirl. Now, listen, it's no secret that social media is a insufferable hellscape, and the more and more you engage with social media, I think the more that becomes evident. And unfortunately, it's starting to bleed into every aspect of life at this point. There is not a single topic that you could find on social media that isn't just drenched in negativity and hate and all this stuff. And sure enough, the same thing is happening with Supergirl, and it was happening weeks before the movie came out. I'm not talking about the what you would expect from a James Gunn DC movie, which is like the Zack Snyder fandom trying to like hate monger over a product because they didn't get their way. It's not just that. It seems like this is a industry-wide hate campaign against this movie that is very, very confusing to me. And honestly, this is like the first time that I've joked about it before that I wanted to delete social media, but this is the first time that I have really come like this close to deleting all my social media accounts, and I still might. And I want to talk about why. And I want to talk about, obviously, we're going to talk about Supergirl and what happened with the movie itself, and also why there is this like hate campaign against it. I don't think it's that big of a secret, but let's get into it. So briefly, this is the follow-up to last year's Superman, which was a fantastic 10 out of 10 movie. It did numbers. It it restored people. It did exactly what Superman needs to do in our real world. It restored hope. It made it like helped people in this bleak time where everything is miserable and shitty. And Superman,
It's a motivational, uplifting movie. Yeah.
and the movie was that beacon of hope that Superman has always been for 85 years or however old he is at this point.
Breaking them chains.
And so this follow-up was it had big shoes to fill, but this is about Superman's cousin, Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, and this is adapted from a really popular and well done graphic novel by Tom King called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And Woman of Tomorrow, no, it's not that old actually, and it's about her forming this unlikely companionship with a little girl named Ruthie, whose parents were murdered by this guy Krem of the Yellow Hills, and he's sort of like a space pirate in the movie, not in the book. Well, in the book, kind of, but anyway, I don't want to compare it to the book. Well, we will a little bit, but they form this sort of bond, and set out on a course to avenge her parents. In the film, Krem shoots Krypto, who we've come to love because of Superman, with a poison dart, and Supergirl has 3 days to get the antidote that only the Brigands, this group of enemies, has, and he wears it around his neck. So she has to track him down, get the antidote and whatnot. People are not liking it. It's bombing at the box office, which I expected because it's a girl, it's a woman. People hate women. And even worse, people hate women heroes. Women heroes are historically not popular, at least in the movies.
I would argue this also got the Solo treatment, but that was the movie about a man. So maybe it's doubled up because it is a woman. I think people like boycotted the Solo Star Wars movie because they were not necessarily because of things that were in the movie that were bad, because Solo isn't a terrible movie.
I don't think anybody's boycotting this. I just think that there is a effort to make the movie.
I'm saying, yes, there's hate reviews and negativity over people that haven't even seen it just because they want to be hateful and negative towards it. Is what I'm saying. And I think like Solo got that, in which Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, Solo, again, it's not the movie. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, Solo, a Star Wars movie. It's not a bad movie, and it's about Han Solo.
Yeah,
but people just hated it, and just to hate on it because there's, I don't know, toxic. So, sorry.
So there's just, I think Supergirl operates behind the 8 ball by default because she is Supergirl. I think people just see her as Superman with tits. She is not just Superman with tits. She is a very rich character who has many, many years, just about as many years of history as Superman. I think her first appearance is in 1959, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And
it's a little ways after, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. He came out in 1938. And so in the over the years, obviously, she's taken on different stories and things like that. But the one that this is adapting is probably the most popular of her stories, and she is a pretty heartbreaking character. So for those of you that don't know, Supergirl is not like Clark in that he was sent to Earth as a infant while Krypton was dying in its death throes. Jor-El sent Clark to Earth, baby Kal-El, to save him. Well, Kara was a teenager during Krypton's destruction, and her family packed up and zipped off of Krypton in this sort of isolated city. It had this like protective dome over it. I can't think of the name of the city off the top of my head. But she went there with her family, and I think like a few thousand Kryptonians.
Yeah. In the movie, and I guess
that happens in the comics too
as well. It's retconned. It's retconned, but
so this is called Argo City.
Yeah, Argo. Yeah, that's right.
And it was
because I think in the original, she's sent back around the same time as
her original run. She's sent back before him.
Yes,
to prepare for his arrival.
Right.
In her original run, she is sent back before Clark to prepare for his arrival, so she could protect him on Earth as he grew up. But she gets like lost in space and then comes back to Earth like years later after Clark is an adult. This new adaptation of her, this modern version of her, she is a teenager during the destruction of Krypton. She witnesses the destruction of Krypton. Her and her family zip off into this like refugee city called Argo City. And it's like her family, and a few thousand Kryptonians that are in this like jarred, it looks like a jar basically. It's like a jarred city. It's protected and it's detached from Krypton. Krypton gets destroyed and they're all floating off in space. Well, however, unfortunately, Krypton has kryptonite deep within it. And this kryptonite starts to get everybody in Argo City sick. And they start dying of radiation poisoning or kryptonite poisoning and stuff like that. And in the comic book, they're working to they're putting like metal grates over the streets and stuff like that, trying to protect themselves, but nothing's working. So her father decides to send her off to Earth as well.
Not die. Yeah.
So she is a heartbreaking character. She witnesses the death of her home world. She witnesses the death of her family and everything she's ever known up until that point. And so when she comes to Earth in a very different place than Clark. Clark was born here. He was born here, raised by really nice, ethical, moral parents.
He only knows humans.
He only knows humans. That's why he is human. So she is not that. She's not Clark. And she's got a little bit more of an edge to her because she lost everything. And so that's the character we meet. And that's the character we meet in Superman at the end when she's like drunk. And he's like, yeah, she goes off to like red planets with red suns because red suns depower the Kryptonians. And she gets drunk.
That's kind of why they
stuff.
Tie crypto more to her than to him, I feel like, is because it gives something for her to attach to. Of course, is home.
Yeah, which is beautiful. It's a great. I'm just saying. Yes. I'm building her up that she has a very rich history. So this isn't like This isn't
it's devastating.
It's heartbreaking. It's terrible. And this isn't so this is her like she has to try. Like Clark never had to question being a hero. That's why Man of Steel is just horrendous dog shit because Zack Snyder didn't understand the assignment. Clark doesn't question his purpose. He never questions whether or not he should be a hero. He knows that's his responsibility because of his upbringing. She is not that. She has to find her way to heroism in a different way. And this movie portrays it a little bit differently than the comic book did, but I still think it was effective. But there are a lot of people out there that don't think it was effective. So anyway, that's just me building up her character. This is not this is not a woke female version of a male hero just because. This is not a girl power story or character. She is a very separate entity from Superman who has her own wonderful backstory and history. And that's what I wanted. I just wanted to lead with that because I think a lot of people do believe that. And that might be why some people didn't go out to see this movie, and that's totally fine. If you're one of those people, it's not that. This movie's safe for you to watch. It's good. It's like she's a good character.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Supergirl, you're gonna like it. I think there are certainly comic purists who can admit that Supergirl, just like Batgirl or any other female character that was a derivative of an already established character, can say it's a token character and still appreciate the value and worth of stories that have been written about those characters from great writers since. They were so, I guess, naively or greedily derived from another character. You can dispute all you want, like, oh yeah, sure, she's just a knockoff Superman. Okay, but once she was established, people took her, and they wrote a story that was amazing, and she is now her own person, and she is separate from that now. So
correct.
Yeah, as much as you want to say, like it exists, and she's got a great history and a great story, and this is a great story.
So real quick before we go any deeper, let's do little first impressions. What did you think of the movie overall? Because I was really excited for this movie, and unfortunately, sorry, real quick, let me just say, I was really excited for this movie, and going into it, I was bombarded with the negative media about this movie. Like before it even came out, people were shitting on this movie. So I went into it expecting it to be like really bad, despite me knowing that a lot of that stuff is like overblown on the internet. But I was pleasantly surprised. I don't think it was anywhere close to as bad as people would have you believe. But what did you think about it?
So I loved Creature Commandos. I
Yeah, so did
loved
I.
Superman. I think Peacemaker is James Gunn being funny and edgy. I think it's good, but I don't love it.
I think
I don't
Peacemaker is
know.
just okay.
Yeah, it's fun, I guess, but I think he's just trying to be edgy and funny, and it's
That
okay.
I
And
don't
the
get.
like, I don't know. Well, sure, but Supergirl, I went in like expecting James Gunn, and
You,
I
of course,
got
really liked Superman. I know we talked about it here.
yes, and I guess I got James Gunn because he read the script, he approved the script, he liked the script, even though we have this talk of competing cuts.
We'll get into
I
that a little
think
bit later. But what
I
did you
think
think of the
that
movie? Did you like it?
I like the movie. Yes, I obviously I think they missed some opportunities to tell a better story, but I thought overall it was a fun story that I enjoyed, and I've watched the movie I think 3 times now, and
There's good copies of it
it's
out
not
there.
it's oh there's telesyncs, yeah,
Oh, okay.
decent.
I Yeah, I really enjoyed it actually. It's not it's not the
Yeah,
best movie I've ever seen by any stretch,
no,
but
no, it's not.
it's not the worst either. It's not bad. I don't think this is a bad movie.
Okay,
And people are out there
so
saying this is a
phase
bad fucking
one.
movie.
Phase one is one of the best phases of
Sure.
movies
Yeah.
in
In
the
the MCU.
MCU.
Yep, yep,
And
yep.
what the worst movie of that one is
Like Thor
either
2.
Thor.
Thor 2.
That was phase two,
Nah,
wasn't it?
Thor 2 and Iron Man 2 were still part of phase 1, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it might have been Iron Man.
And those are the 2
actually.
worst ones,
I think
ironically.
that was 60. That was a 6.7 to 67%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes. But
Yeah.
I don't know. What I feel like, I guess, taken away from this movie is I see what James Gunn is doing, and you described it perfectly in that we are not being told comics are coming to our world
Yeah.
and the page is opening up and they're coming to life. James Gunn is saying, come to this universe.
Mhm.
This is the universe where comic book heroes live.
Yep.
And I see that and I get that. And the way that this story is told is great. I like some of the things that he did differently in this from the book, specifically the end. We can talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But I did have a couple. I was like, they could have done that better, because there was a point in the movie where I was like, because I went and saw this in theater. I'm like, I'm battling in my mind. Wait a second. Okay, this is Supergirl. She has X-ray vision, and she's got the ray eyes, and she's got she's not using any of this shit. And I know she's on a bender, she's bar hopping, but like she's trying to save people right now.
Yeah.
Specifically the scene where she's like, this is everybody's safe, and then a girl dies. And I don't think they capitalize on that enough. I don't know if you know what scene I'm talking about. But
You talking about in the alleyway on Ruthie's?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Ruthie has to
The parents and the kid. Yeah.
contend with the parents and the kid dying, and it's kind of Ruthie's fault. But
It's not Ruthie's
she
fault.
was like,
Is it Ruthie's fault? Yeah, it is.
it's a little bit Ruthie's fault, but it's also a little bit Supergirl's fault, because Supergirl was saving everybody. She's like, that's everybody's safe. And then the whole family dies. And I'm like, well, what the I know you're on a drunk bender, but come on. Lady.
Yeah. So I don't think this is not the perfect movie. I'm not here to defend the movie's slop. It is a sloppy movie. It's put together sloppily.
It's a little, the editing isn't great.
The
but
editing
you can
is not
tell
good.
that it was forced editing because it wasn't Gillespie's
and some of the writing isn't great either, which we'll talk about a little bit, because that raises a bigger question, which has me a little annoyed.
That's why I said.
So I'm not here.
It was a finished script, and James Gunn liked it.
Right. I'm not here to defend this movie and say everybody's wrong. It's actually great. It's not great, but it is not as bad as everybody's saying it's been.
No,
it's like,
it's not bad.
It's like
good. This is a good film.
It sits like right in like the upper mid. It's like a little bit higher than mid. It's a little above mid. And when I give my rating later, you'll see kind of what I mean. And so, why is it sloppy? Let's talk about it. So basically, the movie opens up, and I guess they don't ever really tell you. And you even had this confusion leading up to the movie because we had the conversation. Is this before Superman or after Superman? We couldn't really tell.
Yep.
And you kind of still don't tell when the movie opens. You just kind of assume it's after Superman. Because why would they give you a movie that you didn't like? You're supposed to have an attachment to Krypto at this point, and that attachment has to come from the fact that you saw Superman. Okay. And so we see her on this bender that she goes on after she picks up Krypto from the end of Superman. And it's her birthday. She's celebrating her birthday. And she's like, this is going to be the best year yet. Da, 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 da. She's bar hopping on planets with red suns and all that's great. And then all of a sudden on Ruthie's home. And then the movie then cuts to Ruthie. And she's watching her parents like meet with this guy, Krem. Krem is like a space pirate. And he goes around just stealing shit. And Ruthie's dad is like this master swordsmith or whatever, weaponsmith, and they're like, here, just take your shit and leave. And Ruthie's brother like sees Ruthie watching the conversation that her parents are having with Krem. She's standing in the hallway kind of like watching it, and her brother doesn't know what's going on, and he jumps out and scares her but startles Krem, and Krem turns around and kills him, kills the parents, ravages the town or whatever. And that's Ruthie's story.
Yeah,
but that is
that's
such
a little sloppy.
It's just sloppy editing. Why wouldn't you open the movie with that?
Krem's a better villain than that. He wouldn't accidentally just like, oh my god, you scared me, I'm gonna kill you.
Well, regardless of that, why wouldn't you open the movie with that? Because that's the emotional. I don't know what the movie didn't really. I think the movie was
Ruthie. I had a problem with. I guess Ruthie was my biggest.
The
problem.
Movie was supposed to. Like these two characters were supposed to like kind of relate to each other. Like Ruthie lost her parents, Kara lost her parents, but Ruthie has a reason to be bitter and vengeful and angry. Kara doesn't. She lost her family to a natural disaster. Yes, that sucks. But there's dialogue in the movie where she's like, Superman sees the best in everybody and I see the truth. Like, why are you so anti-people? What happened to you? Nothing that happened to her would make her feel that way, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
That's no. I disagree with you wholeheartedly.
Okay.
So what I would explain is that she saw everybody she loved die.
I get it, yeah.
So she creates this bubble around her in which she doesn't care about anybody, because if she lets anybody get close to her, she's afraid that they will die.
I agree. Okay, never mind. So I changed my opinion.
Okay.
Because that's a psychological response too. If you want to push people away and you don't want to get close to people, you will make up excuses. You will make up excuses that validate your feelings. So you're like, correct. I have a wall up. Why do I have a wall up? Oh, I can't trust anybody. They're not trustworthy.
Right.
So Clark,
and it doesn't matter. You're just afraid to be hurt.
So Clark sees the truth in everybody, Clark sees the best in everybody, but I see the truth. But no, you don't. You're just
Clark
saying
is
that.
Brilliant in this movie. I just want to say that James Gunn, I don't know if it was Gunn or not, but that Clark, he said he was so patient and he knew. He's like, hey, do your thing. I miss you. And hey, even at the very end, I'm gonna spoil. She's like, I'm gonna hang out here for a while. He's like, I'm happy you're home. And she's like, I'm happy to be home. It was brilliant.
I'm actually getting choked up thinking about it because let me tell you something. Just real quick.
It was so good.
I think she's great, Millie Alcock, as Supergirl, as Kara.
She is.
She played a great part.
Yeah.
I think, Ruthie was a little one-dimensional, but I think the little girl did fine.
I did not like Ruthie. I'd say I had problems.
Your boy, Momoa was like
Lobo.
He was fine as Lobo. Lobo didn't serve a single purpose in the movie.
Lobo was in there to witness, I guess, the whole thing.
But let me tell you something.
Cool.
David Corenswet is a
he's cooking.
We have never had a better version of Superman on screen. I'm sorry. Nope. I know he's beloved, but David Corenswet is better than Christopher Reeve.
He's killing it.
He just is.
I agree. So far, listen, the next movie will be the tale. I'm so far, I'm in agreement with you. I think he is the best version of Superman that we have ever seen. And he is killing it. The fact that people are pissed off that he saved Squirrel, I'm loving it.
Well, yeah,
I am so in it.
The way that his he is so full of heart and charm. And
Mm-hmm.
he just plays Clark so perfectly. It's unbelievable that every time he was on screen in this movie, I was just like, I was like a kid. And
even as Kal-El as cousin Takara, like
Yeah.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
The way he was.
He's just great the way he plays the character. And so I think the casting was great. I think she's great. But again, some of the writing I think was a little bit sloppy. I do change my mind about what I just said. You sold me on that point. But regardless, the movie worked for me. I get what they were trying to do. It wasn't perfect, and it was a little sloppily edited, and we'll talk about why in a second. But like at the end of the day, I cried through this movie a lot. The movie made me emotional. I felt it. I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
She witnessed her whole life disappear in the blink of an eye. Her planet, her family, her parents. There's that moment in a flashback. A lot of the past of Krypton is told through flashbacks, and one of them is her begging her. She's like, "I want to stay here and die with you guys. Like, let me do that. Like, you're my family. Why should I get to survive?" And so there's a bit of survivor's guilt that she has. And her dad says, like, listen, you're our legacy. You are me and your mother. Like,
our souls unfolding into the future, I believe was the quote.
And it's a great quote. Like, and it's the same.
Wonderful.
And it's the same reason why Jor-El sent Clark to Earth. Like your child is your legacy. Go, carry on, persist. And this movie does.
In this, they say that he allegedly did it because he was going to be the conqueror of worlds.
I was just going to get to that. This is another thing that I think is a strength of the movie, the Krypton backstory. All these years, we're told the story of Jor-El, that he's like this ambivalent character, and he sends Clark to do good and all this stuff. That's great and fine. I like this new take on his Kryptonian parents because nobody's perfect. We're not perfect people here on Earth, and they wouldn't be perfect there on Krypton either.
Their hubris will give him humility. Yeah.
And so in a desperate moment when their entire civilization is about to go up in smoke, Jor-El says, "Hey man, go to Earth and use your abilities to carry on our heritage." That's not him being evil and being like, conquer and kill everything. That's him being like, no man, like, this is it. We're desperate. And I like the fact.
Yeah, but his brother said in the movie, like,
yes,
he called him the conqueror. The god of. He
called him the conqueror of worlds because I think they telegraphed pretty, I think, clearly that Jor-El and his brother, Kara's father, were at odds philosophically.
Yes.
Which is awesome. You and I would be at odds philosophically. Like, we wouldn't have, we might not have the same idea.
If we found out that the Earth was dying, we would go about different ways of trying to survive it. Absolutely.
And so I thought that was great. And it strengthened the revelation from Superman. And let me tell you something. When you see his ship fly away and her mother goes, is that, I'm going to get choked up.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, is that him?
Good.
And she's like, they really want that sweet little boy to conquer, or whatever she says. But when she says, is that him? And you see his ship zip off. Oh man, it's getting me now. I'm getting choked up. But I don't know. So that's a clear example. The movie worked. Like, it worked for me. And I don't understand. I think the people talking shit about it are really being dishonest. And I'm really surprised because it's coming from people that normally I would trust. I don't want to name names.
I don't trust anybody's critic.
Well, not
reviews.
anymore.
I don't even trust your critic. I don't even trust your film reviews, Dan.
That's fucked up. Are you familiar with the kind
I gotta watch it for myself.
Are you familiar with the Kind of Funny podcast?
Sounds familiar.
It's Greg Miller and the guys who used to work for IGN, and they formed their own thing.
Yeah.
Greg Miller is like a massive Superman fan.
Sure.
Even he was shitting on this movie, and it's okay if you don't like the movie. That's fine. But he was talking about, he was saying things like, I thought the skirt was a little ridiculous. I don't think she wouldn't be able to fight and do some of those moves in a skirt like that. And I'm like, what? You are a comic book nerd.
You know, the best complaint about the Supergirl movie that I think that I've seen was David Cornsweet complaining about the popcorn bucket that they made
scrotum. Yeah,
This
that
the
shit was
weird
crazy.
leather jacket looking thing.
It just looked like
wrapped
foreskin. Yeah.
What the?
No, but like, so something's going on.
Yeah,
There seemed to be a
toxic fandom.
I don't think it's just toxic fandom. Let me say, because
Okay.
there are, if I know you don't engage too much with social media, I do, and I've seen it from multiple angles. You have Camp A, which are the Zack Snyder incel virgins who are just going to hate everything the DC does from here on out.
Yep.
That's group A. You have group B, who are like every publication there is and YouTube channel that does reviews being like, this movie sucks, this movie's bad, it's sloppy, the editing's bad, Ryan Airy was shitting on it, Colton Ogburn, the dude who looks like he's decomposing because he had a curse put on him, was shitting on it.
He's stuck in a TV screen. We don't worry about
every outlet, every news piece, every YouTube channel is dissecting what happened with Supergirl. Why is it so bad? That's Camp B.
It's not bad.
Then you have Camp C, who are the comic book nerds, who are like, yeah, like this movie is a shitty adaptation of the book that they were trying to adapt. And that's totally fair. But like, it's not a bad movie.
It's a decent adaptation. I wouldn't even say it's a shitty. I think it's a decent adaptation in that they tried to adapt several different stories and combine them into one, because Lobo is not in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Just if you guys have never read the book, spoiler alert, you will not see Lobo in that story at all.
People have a solid point that it is not the best adaptation of the book.
It's not.
The book is much deeper and much more rich. Well,
yeah,
in terms of its storytelling.
Spoiler alert. Let's just go ahead and talk about it, because like at the end, Supergirl is like, "Hey, kill this, kill him, right?"
Yeah, in the book.
Yeah,
well, no, in the book,
like, kill this guy.
Well,
and the girl's like, I can't do it, and that's the lesson.
Well, in the book,
she tries.
In the book, they imprison him for like thousands of years. So, spoilers: Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is being narrated by Ruthie years in the future, and she's an old woman, and she's she's basically telling the story of her time with Supergirl.
Right.
And at the end, she comes to terms with what happened, and they let Krem out of the prison that he has been in for hundreds and hundreds of years, and he is like, listen, I'm so sorry, like, I'm reformed, I know what I did was f***ed up or whatever. And there's one final shot where it looks like Ruthie kills him, and it's a little bit ambiguous, but Tom King himself has said that they do not kill him, they just like kind of walk away. She like hits him on the head with something, and it looks like, because it's silhouetted, and it looks like she kills him. Doesn't matter. At the end of this movie, Supergirl kills Krem. She's like, Ruthie, she spends the whole movie being like, Ruthie, you can't do this. Like, you don't want to do this. You will live you will live your whole life regretting it. Don't do it. And at the end of the movie, she finally convinces Ruthie to walk away, and she kills Krem herself. And people took issue with this, but I think it's fine. And here's why.
I don't have issue with it either. I think it's great.
It's revealed in the movie that Krem is running a child sex trafficking ring. He's basically Jeffrey Epstein of space. And he's going around to different planets, and he's kidnapping children, female children, and taking them and selling them. They explicitly mention it. So now Kara is at this impasse in the movie where she has to make the decision, oh, this actually has to die.
And Superman would not have killed him.
Exactly.
And I think that's where James Gunn is cooking right now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Because it's obvious to me. I don't know why people had an issue with this.
I don't know either, Dan. This is so obvious.
Kara had to make the decision. This has to die because she does not have the same morals as Superman. She does not have his same outlook where he values all life. Superman would 100% put him in jail or do something with him. That's why people call Superman naive. Okay? Because again, I don't know how loud I have to scream this from the rooftops. Nobody is like Superman. That's why nobody is him. That's why
nobody does it better.
No, that's why all the other characters in his movie that people said it was overstuffed, they all existed to stand in contrast to him. Hawkgirl literally says the words before she kills Gert goes, I'm not like Superman. Okay? Nobody's like Superman. Not even his cousin. Nobody. Not even Batman, who also doesn't kill people. Nobody is like Superman. Except maybe Cap, who shot people with guns in World War II. Nobody is like Superman. Anyway.
Superman's thrown a couple villains on top of a roof. Some of them might have died. That's all I'm going to say about Batman.
So, she is not Superman. And she sees this guy doing this horrible thing, one of the worst things you could do, okay, selling and trafficking children. And she's like, this guy's got to die, but it can't be Ruthie because she's a child and she'll destroy her whole life. So I'm going to do it for her. That was her hero moment. This movie is about... Hang on, let me finish. This movie is about Kara becoming a hero. The movie makes it a point that she does not wear the suit the entire time. She's wearing regular plain clothes and that trench coat. She only puts on the suit towards the end of the movie when Ruthie brings it to her and is like, here, be the hero you were meant to be. And there's the flashback of her with Clark, and Clark says, it's really bright. I'm going to get choked up again. It's colorful so people know we're good. And then she puts it on and she goes and helps Ruthie, and that's her hero moment. She's taking the burden of killing this guy off of the little girl.
But the scene is intentional, Dan, and I think it's very intentional.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I think it's so intentional that I think we're going to see it rear its ugly head.
Yes, I agree
later in more movies.
I was going to say the same thing.
Because she doesn't just kill him.
No, she kills him twice.
Yeah, she says this isn't just justice. This is vengeance.
This is for Ruthie, and this is for my dog.
Yes, correct. So I just want to make that very clear that I saw that, and I think that's very important. And I think that's very laid out
I'm gonna tell you why.
Specifically because she could have just killed him with one stab. So go ahead.
It's very clear, right? The suit is a big point of the story.
Yes,
because. To Clark, think about what the symbol means to Clark.
Everything.
We made the
hope.
It's bright so people know we're good.
Yep. And it's funny, so kids won't be afraid.
Yep. That symbol represents his goodness. And she killed him wearing that symbol.
Yeah.
I guarantee
she didn't just kill him.
No.
She didn't just kill him.
I guarantee you.
She gave him the old what for, buddy?
I guarantee you, whether it be in Man of Tomorrow or in another movie, it's going to get back to him.
It will.
That
Absolutely.
She killed somebody wearing this symbol that he holds so dear.
Oh, Lobo. It's Lobo.
I don't know if it's going to be Lobo, but that seems like it was going to be the case.
He's going to be at a bar. He's going to be like, oh, yeah, she stabbed that twice, and Superman's going to be like, what?
Lobo's probably going to be spreading the story all over the galaxy. Yeah. It's going to get back to Superman, and it's going to put them at odds. And they're going to be at odds anyway because she has a different perspective than he does. Right? She like,
or even, I mean, we could see this rear its ugly head in the next movie with Brainiac, and
that's what I'm saying.
She's like mad at Lex Luthor for something, and she wants to give Lex the what for, and Superman's like, no, we don't do that on this planet. And that's put them at odds.
Here's the thing, right?
I don't think they're at odds yet, and I agree with you that this could and should put them at odds.
They haven't worked together yet.
Right.
She at the end of this movie, she comes back to Earth and she's like, I'm ready to stay now. Now they're going to work together.
I'm ready to stay.
They're going to be the tag team heroes. So they're going to be at odds with how she deals with stuff versus how he deals with stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Just like Batman, Superman.
But now here's the thing, right? We're speculating, but there is a storytelling aspect to this, a strategy to this. Okay? Because all you hear about is Superman's boring, he's too powerful. Well, she's just as powerful as he is. She's actually a little bit weaker because he's spent more time on Earth under the yellow sun than she has. So he's still stronger. But that raises the question, well, how do you give these people a threat? Well, in Superman, obviously James Gunn depowered him quite a bit from the comic books versions of himself, and they had him fight his literal equal, a clone that was, if you listen to the movie, potentially even stronger than he is because of the way Lex Luthor explained cloning. They're dumber and stronger. So Superman fought basically his stronger equal in the first movie. Now you have two who are strong. What are you supposed to do? How do you give them a threat? Well, the threat is to kind of divide them a little bit so they can't work together well, right? Like they're going to be at odds and they're going to fuck shit up because they're not on the same page.
Well,
and that's
and
kind of
Brainiac.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're probably not the turmoil throughout the movie is probably going to be like I would imagine on some level like Civil War, not where they're fighting straight up, but just like they're fucking up and they're doing sloppy work because they're at odds and like they just can't agree on shit. Maybe.
Do you think we get Doomsday in the Gods and Monsters era, or do you think we're
I don't know.
Gonna have to wait on that?
They have several movies they got to do before they could kill Superman and like make it really meaningful.
Oh yeah, I think that's a phase 3 thing,
but
or maybe phase 2, like Empire Strikes Back type deal. But yeah.
Maybe. But I don't know. I thought this movie worked, man. I'm sitting here. I'm getting choked up.
I liked it.
I'm getting choked up talking about it. It worked. Like it works emotionally. It works for the character. It works for Superman. The only problem I really had with this movie really is the editing. It just was a little bit sloppy. And now there's a reason why. If we found out, you touched on it briefly, that there was an original cut of the movie that they showed to test audiences, and it tested really poorly. And then the studio, DC Studios,
James Gunn brought in his
you would think
Guardians
James
editor.
Gunn brought in another editor to recut the movie.
Yep.
And then they showed it to the test audiences, and it only tested like slightly better. So
2 points higher, I think.
So apparently the cut of the movie that we got is not the original cut of the movie. And so you get the sense that this was now some sort of like Frankenstein's monster of a movie.
It's not.
It is a little bit. There are some edits and cuts that you could tell are like jarring, but I don't think it ruins the movie. It's just not a perfect movie.
I don't think the Gillespie cut is going to make me feel like, oh my God, James Gunn ruined this movie with his editor.
Not at all.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think like if I watched both cuts, I'd be like, I mean, one's good in this way and this one's good. Like, I will like them both for different reasons, and I will dislike them both for different reasons. So don't even do it. If they're so close, don't even do it.
According to the Hollywood Reporter, Gillespie's version was 11 minutes longer and featured more of the villain.
Yeah.
So
the villain, wait, it is who cares?
And so, but hang on. So, we have two competing cuts of the movie. There was this whole thing that was like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe this has happened. James Gunn is ruining the DC, blah, 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 blah. But like, there were people from set that came out and they were like, this happens all the time on movies. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, multiple people have come forward and been like, guys, this is a nothing burger. I think Comics Explained was talking about it. This happens all the time on big productions. It's the nature of creating things.
Yeah.
You have competing ideologies on the filmmaking process and this and that and the other thing. That might raise a bigger question as to whether or not James Gunn is equipped to be both a filmmaker and the head of the DC Studios.
Sure. Some people are saying,
that might make
he should stick to writing and not overseeing because he's missing things. But
now that also could lead to a bigger question of whether or not James Gunn can detach himself from the filmmaking process. Maybe he needs to just pick one.
He approved this script. The script was written and he approved it.
That's the next thing I was going to get to. So hold up.
So that's the thing. Is like,
so maybe he needs, maybe there is a conversation to be had that should he just stick to directing or should he stick to just being managerial position? Because he's deep in production on Man of Tomorrow. And maybe that's why a lot of stuff from this movie kind of slipped through the cracks. You know what I mean?
I think he's a great writer and he's great
and he's a great director.
Writing direction.
He's also a great director.
I don't know if he is a great Feige in that he can be like, but then again, I'm saying this in that I loved Creature Commandos. I loved Superman, and I really liked Supergirl. But so like
Harold,
you say he's building this universe that we're jumping into.
Yeah.
Not the universe is jumping out into the world.
Right.
We're jumping into this universe and he's building it and I'm liking it so far. So I want to just say, let the man cook. And I'm going to wait till like when his 6th movie is out, I will judge him very harshly or very fondly. But until then, I'm just on the ride, I guess is what I'll say. I don't really have too many. I like what I'm seeing and I'm on the ride and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. I think I'm a good example of the point I'm trying to make with the podcast. Like you mentioned earlier, like I do the editing and stuff like that. And I, as a creative, I have a very particular way that I like things.
Yep.
And it's hard for me to delegate stuff to like you and Marvin because you guys won't necessarily do it the way that I want to do it. And I can't really...
Even if it's good.
Yeah, even if it's good. Yes, yeah, 100%.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
And I can't really like show you how I want it done, so I'll just do it myself. And so...
Sure.
I feel like that might be...
And thank you for everything you do.
Thanks. Yeah, no, that's fine. But I think that might be a little bit of the situation that James Gunn may be finding himself in.
Yes. I agree 100%.
But we'll see.
Nailed it.
That's just with this movie. We'll see what happens with Clayface because that's Mike Flanagan and stuff.
I want to see...
The other problem with this movie...
What I said.
The other problem with this movie is that I don't know why, but there is one very truthful criticism about this movie, and that it is trying to be a James Gunn movie. Despite him not writing it, despite him not directing it, it feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. It does. I do not think that is a wrong criticism that people have had. This feels like Craig Gillespie was like trying to impress the boss. Like I could make a movie just like you.
So hold on now. Now I'm gonna spit some wild shit here at you for a second. I don't know. I'd have to look into this. How well does James Gunn and Fred Gillespie know each other?
Craig Gillespie.
Because what?
You said Fred. It's Craig.
Oh, Craig. I'm sorry. My bad, Craig. Craig Gillespie. How well do they know each other? Because James Gunn is notorious for hiring friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he has any sort of history with Craig, I would say that he may have said, "Hey, Craig, I want you to write a script for Supergirl and base it on Woman of Tomorrow and kind of lean into this stuff." Like, did he do that? Did he just like say, "Hey, this will get you a deal at Warner Brothers because I'm in charge"? Like, are we on that sort of diligent path?
I have no idea.
Or did Craig Gillespie just come up with a great script and James
he didn't write the
it?
script.
Craig did not write it?
Nope.
Who wrote it?
He just directed it. It was written by Anna Noguera. Anna Noguera is also...
Anna Noguera. Yeah, she's a good writer. Yes, okay.
Well, is she a good writer? She has only done like TV shows.
She's
done
some decent stuff.
She's done random TV shows like Blue Bloods, the Michael J. Fox show.
I love Blue Bloods, Dan.
She's done the Vampire Diaries, the Blacklist, You and Yours.
Blacklist, I love it. Yeah.
So she doesn't have a very...
I'm a fan of Anna Noguera, so
that's fine. She doesn't...
You're not gonna sell me on her.
She doesn't have a very prestigious history in terms of
superheroes. Sure, yeah.
She hasn't written many feature films. She's only... Actually, this is her first feature film that she wrote. And so...
Oh, good.
She was also hired to write the Teen Titans project. She was also hired to write the Wonder Woman movie.
Oh, that's right.
So
that's where I remember.
So now it does raise some concerns because the writing...
I like her writing.
The writing in this movie was not the strongest thing ever. When I say writing, I'm talking about dialogue and things like that. The overall story I thought was great. I liked her character arc. I liked the stuff about Krypton. I thought that was great. The Superman time, all that was great. But
and we don't know where this breaks down in the writing.
James Gunn shot himself in the foot because you've mentioned it several times. James Gunn is out here saying, "Hey, I'm not going to approve a script unless it's good." Okay.
Not even good, just finished. It doesn't even have to be good. It can be finished.
Sure.
And he could be like, "I like the idea. We can adjust it, but it's finished. So let's go."
So there was
my problem with his position.
Now, there's one other issue with this movie that I think deserves to be talked about. Not the movie, but James Gunn's plans.
Yeah.
And that is, what are his plans?
It's a good question. I don't know what comes after Gods and I don't even know what comes next in Gods and Monsters.
Because you have we're coming into the DCU. We have a major goal, and that is the first goal, number one, we need to rehabilitate Superman's image because it is in the trash. Thanks to Zack Snyder, thanks to Injustice, thanks to other media that love
the next movie can fix that.
No. I'm not done. It's already fixed. But I'm saying leading up to the DCU starting, his image was in the trash. You had Zack Snyder's dog shit version of Superman. Yep. Mm-hmm. You have Injustice, dog shit version of Superman. Yep. You have The Boys, evil version of Superman. You've got Invincible, evil version of Superman. So
it was Brightburn.
The world is just obsessed with evil Superman. James Gunn's goal number one, rehabilitate Superman. This is who this character is, everybody. And he did that.
Nailed it.
He did that.
Just
but all
punched it right in the mouth.
And then obviously he's making Superman the anchor of the DCU, which is what you would want. He's the anchor of the DC. He's the guy. That's it. It all revolves around him.
We need the Trinity, though. We need the Trinity.
I'm getting there. So that begs the question, what is the plan? Because you've got Peacemaker, which is just this like tertiary side story that he's telling. It has nothing to do really with the overall DCU.
It's fun, but it's not that fun.
You've got Suicide Squad, which he determined was canon in this DCU.
It's all right.
No, it was good. I'm not talking about quality. I'm just saying overall story stuff. Why is that like so? And then there's that. Then there's Creature Commandos, which does some stuff to establish the DCU. Good.
Ready for more. Yeah, bring it back.
We've got Supergirl now, which does more to strengthen like the Superman story. We're gonna have Man of Tomorrow.
Clayface, more villains.
Clayface, don't understand why that's a thing. Horror movie about
I'm okay with it.
A villain.
Listen,
hang on. And then we're getting this Jimmy Olsen show that's whatever, a Mr. Terrific show, and then this project you said Bane and Deathstroke. So it's like
Bane and Deathstroke. Yeah,
it just feels like and again they all might be bangers. That's besides the point. I'm simply saying that we have a lot of randomness right now. That doesn't seem to be.
I agree.
That doesn't seem to be leading to any sort of singular thing. Now
it's not coalescing into one cognitive.
Correct.
Yes.
Now, what is the biggest problem with the post-Endgame MCU? Quality is one thing for sure, but the other thing is the randomness of it. None of it really seems to coalesce, and now they're forcing it to coalesce with Doomsday, and everybody's disinterested. So I'm a little bit worried. Where is the direction, James Gunn? Where are you going? I trust you, but you got to show me a little something. Because this is where I lose a lot of because I don't know.
I don't know enough about the DCU. I know like the DCU has its own comic book phases. Like,
of course, yeah.
Was 10 or 15 years ago. I got the new 52, where like the DC
that was
rebooted
a reset,
all their characters. But yeah, I don't know where they're going because I don't follow DC enough to know. Like James Gunn calls this the Gods and Monsters era, which would technically be the phase 1 of the MCU. So if phase 1 is the Gods and Monsters, what is phase 2? And if phase 1 is Gods and Monsters, what are all the Gods and Monsters? Like who else is the So as someone who's uneducated and unfamiliar with DC as I am with Marvel, I couldn't begin to predict
but you're
James Gunn is cooking.
You're a prime example.
But I do like what he's doing.
But you're a good example because you're like, well, where the fuck is this going? You know,
right?
A DC fan could name 100 different directions, maybe, but either way, nothing that he's done so far has telegraphed it. And so maybe
sure.
he's just putting in building blocks of like establishing a universe. This is like a universe establishment thing. And maybe we're trained by Marvel to expect a
this is the Infinity
funnel,
Saga.
right.
No, it's not.
So
Yeah,
I'm on board. I'm on board. I
okay,
just think
I am too.
it's a little bit, and I understand why you don't come out of the gate with Batman because you got Matt Reeves as Batman and you don't want two Batmen and all this stuff. Fine. But it is a little bit odd to me why for your second movie in this universe to be Supergirl and not Wonder Woman. Like like you said, you want to start, like you think you would come out of the gate with the Trinity. Where's the Trinity?
I would say that I think he may have done that because of what Snyder did, because Snyder tried to force the Trinity on us.
That's a fair point.
And he did it in an unholy way.
Fair point.
And so James Gunn was like, hold on.
Let's wash our mouths.
We need to establish, let's just put the soap in the mouth. Just eat the soap for a second. You're gonna like the Superman and the Supergirl, and we'll get into it. So maybe, I don't know. It's fascinating to see where we go from here. But who knows? Dan, I don't know. I liked Supergirl. I think everybody should watch it. It's a great movie. I've watched it 3 times already. I don't know how many times I'll rewatch it the next year, but I'm looking forward to rewatching it later when some more DC movies come out and I can revisit and say,
I thought Supergirl.
Remember when she stabbed that dude in the stomach and then in the throat? That was awesome.
I thought Supergirl was a very good movie. I don't think it's the greatest movie ever. It's got a little bit of sloppiness to it. It's got a little sloppiness in the editing, a little sloppiness in the script. But I want to bring it back to my initial question. Despite some of the issues with it, it's not a bad movie. What is going on that every single publication out there, every single YouTube channel out there that are normally like pretty favorable towards movies like this, what's causing this, what I could only call a hate campaign?
I don't know. I can't explain it.
It feels targeted.
I'm gonna pull it back to, this is the solo Star Wars movie treatment, and that wasn't a terrible movie. I liked that movie. It was a good movie. It did some things to the continuity of the lore that were interesting and fascinating. It had some bad writing and editorial things in it, but overall, it was good. And everybody hated it because everybody was sick. And it just feels like this societal divisiveness and the social media shit we were talking about early on. So I don't know. I don't care. I liked it. People should watch it. What everybody else thinks. That's what I say.
Yeah. I mean, right now, the movie's facing like a staggering loss in terms of money. I mean, it is a box office update. This is as of yesterday. $290 million.
Yeah, it's 3 to 5, I'm sure. Budget
is the budget. And
wait, how much? 290?
290 million was the budget, and it made only 130 million worldwide. So that is a flop. That's a flop. A box office bomb. That's a flop.
Yeah.
Again, I think it would have happened anyway because it's Supergirl. But look at these ratings. Yep. Look at this Rotten Tomatoes. Look at this. Look at this tilt, as per usual when things like this happens. All grunge aesthetic and attitude. Like, it's just, critics hate it. Audiences don't love it, but they don't hate it. They're like, yeah, it's all right. It's a good movie. And so I'm just curious, like, do you like this? It feels to me targeted. I know you don't.
It certainly is.
I know you don't engage with social media that much, but what could possibly cause otherwise good outlets like people like I said, I normally trust for things like this to actually turn on this movie like they did?
I can't. I could only explain the phenomenon of the wave that I see of positive and negative reviews from social media. I can't explain why they happen. I can only explain that I see them. And that's why, like I said, like gonna continue to relate it to solo Star Wars story. Like Supergirl, I don't know why they hated it.
Do you
I understand why people hated the Star Wars series?
The new trilogy.
No,
you're talking about Acolyte
series. The Acolyte.
Yeah.
I can understand why people hated that.
Well, that was bad.
I get that. But this or like Solo, I don't get
This
it.
has-
And I think it's just disdain for continued franchises or
I don't know.
disenfranchised fans. Like I don't
think
know.
the
Or
answer.
bots. I don't know.
I think the
don't know.
answer
I
is
don't know,
pretty
Dan.
simple. I think it's partially the monkey bots from Superman, literally that. And I think we have entered an age of digital media, which this is pretty much sums it up. This is a fake headline that is basically what these headlines should have been for Supergirl. And it is, we paid a freelancer to say a thing you like is dog shit because the Google, Facebook duopoly ate the whole digital ad market. And now harvesting hate clicks is the only viable business model for online media.
True.
I think that basically sums it up. Like, in order to, and we see it here on the podcast. I know you guys don't really engage too much with like our views and stuff, but like, if we want to shit on something, the views are going to be more than when we like praise something. It's just how the internet works.
Yeah.
Now. Everything's about hate harvesting, and there's bots that do it, and that's the whole of the internet.
We can say we love the haters,
and so
nothing will happen, and then we say the haters, and then people comment and like.
And so because of this, I think this movie has been unfairly targeted. I don't think the movie is bad as everybody is saying it is. I actually really enjoyed the movie. Did I love it?
It's good.
I didn't love it, but I really enjoyed it and I liked it quite a bit. And if you're not watching it because you've heard bad things, all I got to say is grow the fuck up. Don't trust things you read on the internet. Don't even trust us. Watch it for yourself if you're interested in it.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that loved it, but everybody I've talked to liked it.
Yeah.
And nobody I've talked to disliked it.
And let me tell you something.
If that tells you anything, go watch it because you'll like it.
Right. And
Jesus
like I
Christ.
said, it worked on me. I was emotional watching it. Yeah. I'm emotional now thinking about it. Yep. That is a successful movie, in my opinion. So it made me want to delete social media because I am sick of the hate brigade that rains down on everything. Same thing happened with Oppenheimer.
TikTok.
Oppenheimer announced the black actress for Helena Troy, and the whole internet's like, this is going to be the worst movie ever made. Christopher Nolan's woke. He sold out. It's like, shut the up. Just shut up. I want everybody to just shut the up. I want to turn my, I need to, I'm just going to delete social media. I can't have it anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm over it. I will keep the podcast stuff up so we could do podcast stuff, but that's it.
I'm still going to post on social media. Follow us, Harsh Language Pod.
That's what I'm saying.
Harsh Lang Pod.
So this movie has a 6.1 on IMDb. It is criminally, I think, underrated. Mm-hmm. I would give this like a 7.5.
Same, exactly the same 7.5. It's not worth a 1. It's worth a 1.5 because the haters.
It's just slightly
1.5 point by. Yeah, it's a 7.5.
It's a little bit above mid. That's it.
This is a fun watch, and there's nothing wrong with this movie.
If it has all the things that you want in a movie. It has action. It has some comedy. It has some heart to it. It's got good CGI. Like, it's by all accounts a good movie. Is it the best? No. Is it the worst?
No.
Absolutely not. Nope. There are much worse comic book movies than this. And if you're interested in it, go see it. But that's all we have to say about that.
Right.
So there you have it, folks. There's our thoughts on Supergirl. And go check it out. If you have seen Supergirl, reach out, leave a comment down in the comment section. We'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Are you on our side? Do you think this rage farming is the reason for the negative reviews, or do you think there is a lot of validity to people's issues with it? Leave your comment.
Let a naysayer know.
We'll be interested to know. And we do this once a week for those of you that are new here. Next week, we're coming back and we're talking about Obsession, the movie that is shaking the very fabric of the film industry right now. So we're excited to watch that. If you want to watch along with us or know what we're going to be talking about in advance, we do post our schedule for the whole month over on Discord. Discord is free to join, of course. You could the link is down below at harshlanguage.tv. You could find our Discord invite link, and you could join there, and you could see our schedule for the month if you're interested in that. But yeah, otherwise, We appreciate having you. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. We look forward to seeing you next week. We cover a lot of comic book movies here on the show. So if you want to see more of those, there's a comic book movie playlist right over there that you could click on. But otherwise, we will catch you next week.
Hasta.